saw it before I felt it, the shift. The way she turned her head slightly away from me, her laughter angling toward someone else, her eyes finding reasons not to meet mine. I stood there, a half-finished drink in my hand, the ice clinking softly as the music throbbed around us. Everyone seemed lost in the pulse of the party, but all I could see was her, my wife, pretending I wasn't there. It wasn't anger at first. It was confusion. A quiet, creeping kind that starts low in your gut and spreads like frost. Sophie had been radiant that night. The soft gold dress clung to her like it was made just for her, catching the warm glow of the patio lights. People couldn't stop complimenting her. She looked alive in a way I hadn't seen in months. Maybe that's why I stayed silent when she started drifting further into the crowd, her laughter mingling with theirs while mine felt trapped in my throat. At first, I told myself it was fine. She was social, outgoing. I wasn't. That had always been our difference. I smiled through the awkward small talk with people I barely knew, pretending not to notice how often her eyes skipped over me when we stood in the same circle. Then her cousin, Lila, arrived. That's when the night began to turn. Lila was the kind of woman who walked into a room like she owned it. Bold, playful, the kind who could joke about anything and still have everyone eating out of her hand. I'd always liked her in a harmless way. She was family, Sophie's younger cousin, single, flirtatious, unfiltered. When she spotted us, she threw her arms around Sophie first, squealing loud enough for everyone nearby to turn. Then her eyes landed on me. "Well, if it isn't the elusive husband," she grinned, stepping closer. "Damn, Sophie, I forgot how good-looking he is. If you ever get tired of him." She winked. "Can I have him?" The group laughed, including me. It was harmless, just Lila being Lila. But then came the moment I can't forget. Sophie's laughter didn't sound like hers. It was sharp, brittle, and just a touch too loud. Then she said it. "Oh, please, you can have him. He's all yours." Everyone laughed again. Except me. It was meant as a joke. I knew that. But something about the way she said it, the way her hand brushed Lila's arm as she turned away, the way she didn't look back at me, made my stomach twist. Later, when I tried to join their group again, Sophie drifted away. Every time I approached, she found a reason to move, to refill her drink, to talk to someone else. Once, I caught her watching me. Her expression was unreadable, almost guilty, before she smiled and turned away again. That's when I began to see it. Not just her distance, but how close she was to him. He was tall, with that easy charm that people mistake for sincerity. I'd seen him at her office once, Ethan, the new marketing director. He had this way of leaning in when he spoke, like every word was a secret. And she was laughing at everything he said, touching his sleeve lightly every time she did. I didn't want to believe it. I told myself it was just work talk. Friendly. Innocent. But denial has a sound. It's the dull roar in your head when the truth starts pounding on the door and you pretend not to hear it. When the band started playing slower songs, I thought maybe, just maybe, she'd look for me. But she didn't. She let Ethan take her hand. I watched them sway under the string lights, her head tilted up, her lips parting in a way that used to be mine. And in that moment, surrounded by laughter and clinking glasses, I felt like the only sober man in a room full of drunks. Everyone else was blind to the quiet collapse happening inside me. I left the party early, but she didn't notice. She came home past midnight. The sound of her heels on the hardwood floor was too casual. She didn't even check if I was awake. I was lying there, pretending to sleep, my hand still curled around my phone. I'd typed a dozen messages to her that night and deleted every one of them. When she slid into bed beside me, her perfume lingered, a scent that no longer smelled like comfort but like something foreign, like someone else's hands might have brushed against her hair. I couldn't ask her. Not that night. Cowardice feels a lot like patience when you're trying to convince yourself you're being rational. The next morning, she was different. Sweet. Attentive. Overly so. It was like she could sense my quiet suspicion and was trying to smother it under affection. She made breakfast, kissed me before leaving for work. But her eyes had a flicker of something behind them. Fear, maybe. Or guilt. Or both. That's when I decided to know, once and for all. I never wanted to be the kind of person who checked phones or read messages not meant for them. But when trust dies, privacy dies with it. I told myself I wasn't searching for betrayal. I was searching for peace. But peace doesn't come from lies, it comes from knowing. It didn't take long. Her phone was face down on the kitchen counter while she showered. A single notification lit up the screen. Ethan, last night was complicated. I didn't open it. I didn't need to. The truth was in the ellipsis. In the unfinished sentence. In the silence that followed every laugh I'd forced at that party. When she came downstairs, she looked refreshed, humming softly. I couldn't even look at her. My chest felt hollow. The woman I'd built my world around felt like a stranger in my kitchen. That evening, I asked her about the party. Did you have fun? I said casually, pretending my hands weren't trembling. She smiled. Yeah, it was great. Everyone loved it. Even Ethan. Her smile faltered just slightly, then returned. Oh, yeah, he's nice. We just talked about work. There it was, the quick blink, the forced calm, the careful tone. The way people talk when they're terrified of their own words. Did you tell him he could have me too? I asked. She froze. Her eyes widened for a fraction of a second before she laughed. Are you seriously jealous of that? It was a joke, Daniel. Lila said something stupid, It didn't sound like a joke, I interrupted quietly. It sounded like a test. That stopped her. Her voice dropped. A test for what? To see how far you could go before I'd notice. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then she sat down, her shoulders sinking, her voice trembling. I didn't sleep with him, she whispered. But I thought about it. I liked the attention. I liked how he made me feel seen. My heart cracked, not from anger, but from understanding. Because I remembered the night she'd fallen asleep before I got home, the mornings I'd been too tired to notice her silence. The small ways we'd let each other drift. I'm sorry, she said, her voice breaking. I didn't mean to hurt you. I just felt invisible. Her confession wasn't clean. It didn't make things right. But it was real. And real is always messier than lies. For weeks, we tried. Therapy. Space. Conversations that bled into tears. She swore it hadn't gone further. Part of me believed her. Part of me didn't. But trust, once fractured, never fits the same way again. It rattles inside you, sharp and dangerous. Months later, we went to another party, this time, together in every sense. I thought maybe we were healing. Until Lila showed up again, same teasing smile, same reckless humor. She looked at me and joked, still off limits. Before I could reply, Sophie said softly, he always was. Her tone was warm, but her eyes flickered toward the doorway, where Ethan had just walked in with someone else on his arm. And in that fleeting glance, I saw something, regret, longing, maybe even grief. It wasn't love anymore, but it wasn't gone either. That's when I understood the cruel truth about betrayal. It doesn't end when the lie does. It lingers in the quiet spaces, between words, between touches, between breaths. You can forgive what happened, but you can never forget the moment you realized it could. That night, as we left the party, her hand slipped into mine. It felt warm, familiar, but different somehow, like holding on to something you know could slip away again. And maybe that's what love really is, after all. A series of chances we give to people who've already broken our hearts, hoping this time they won't.